Alright fellas, here back on our Pokemon Masters video. I'm going to try and make this one a little bit shorter because I've got quite a few videos I need to record, some other stuff I need to do as well. Alright? Anyway, doesn't really matter too much. I want to talk about Silver. So, Champion Silver and Tyranitar. This is a character that initially debuted back in March of 2024, so about a year, a little under a year and a half ago. Pretty good amount of time for a rerun. I mean, this is about average, about fair, I would honestly say. Is Silver a good unit still? I would say so, for sure. He's got a lot of good gimmick checks like sand, debuff, like a few debuffs, flinching's always really good, circle setting's always really good, stuff like that. I mean, he's got some pretty good capabilities just kind of built in. I think like his overall viability though, like in harder and harder fights that like require more gimmicks or more offensive ability or more like defensive ability, you know, whatever. It's going to dramatically depend upon the Rock Arc Suit and also the Rock EX Weather Terrain Zone, or EX Zone, it'd be Rock Zone, right? The EX Rock Zone setter, right? Or if they make EX Sand, I'd be very curious to see how they would do that if they would do it. But the thing is that full knowledge here, obviously Silver requires Sand in order to be pretty much of any use in game modes outside of like Legendary Arenas. Even in Legendary Arenas, he still really wants Sand to like really do a lot. And the thing with him wanting Sand is that there's not too many crazy, like back when he released Sand, it wasn't as big as a deal because like Paulo came out, yes, before him. Paulo was a very solid character. You could run with him. He's a very good character that sets Sand. He's got a lot of good supportive ability. He could take attacks. Like he was very solid in like kind of blitz settings where you don't really have to worry too much about tanking. Alongside like Diantha, right? Like they were a good trio. Thing is now our better rock option is Champion Celine, who has absolutely zero requirement for Sand, which is good because the less things you need to make a character good, the more good they're going to be on like different setups, or like the more likely they are probably going to end up being to get a partner that is going to be able to help them because they don't need as much help. Where Celine only really needs a circle to like function for the most part. Silver really wants Sand, and there are presently, all right, I mean, if we want to take a look, I don't think I can look exactly for Sand setters, but like, I mein, we got, I guess Ground would be another good one to look at. I know this year we got New Year's Raihan. He's not bad. Neo Champion, not Neo Champion, Arc Suit Cynthia, definitely not bad at all, but Arc Suit Cynthia really wants to be run with other ground types, not necessarily rock types. It's like she operates as a ground Arc Suit, but frankly, she works really well with Silver, so she may as well double as the rock Arc Suit, right? Or at least in his case. I shouldn't have done that. I want to go back to rock. But like, there have not been nearly as many like good top tier Sand centers to help out Silver, and his ability to set Sand by himself is extremely lacking outside of like shorter fights. And that is really Silver's bigger issue that he has to worry about. And even under Sand, he's not that impressive. He's waiting for the Arc Suit. If the Arc Suit is someone that sets Sand and can do rebuff, I think Silver would really benefit a lot. But I guess we'll go into that a little bit more probably as we actually look at the character's kit. So obviously he's a striker with a Sprint EX roll. Sprint works pretty well for him. It's not a terrible combination, especially given his Sand requirements. At level 40, 5 stars, no extra investment. He's got 390 attack, 153 defense, 132 special defense, 284 speed, 689 HP. Whatever stats, nothing crazy, but he can Mega Evolve, and that attack goes way up. 467 attack, 183 defense. These are solid stats, for sure. And that's without any investment. Level 150, 6-star EX. That attack at base jumps up to 450, HP over 800, defense 200, special defense 178, 338 speed. These are all solid stats for sure, except probably the special defense. This definitely could still use a lot of work, but it's sadly not going to get too much help outside of the grid. But then when Mega Evolved, over 500 attack, over 240 defense, those are good offensive stats. And Sprint EX roll just bumps that up even higher, over 560 attack, over 880 HP, over 378 speed here. Like, he definitely gets some good stats. I mean, his offensive stat is nothing to like worry about. His defense is good, his HP is good, his speed's solid enough. His special defense is really his only like Achilles heel in like the stat department. He's got Stone Edge, which by itself is not a great damaging move. 80 power is whatever, sorry, 80 accuracy, 120 powers is whatever. 80 accuracy is really not that great at all, even though it's a 2-gauge move because he does have in here, no, right here, fuel economy. So he's got fuel economy in the grid, which makes his Stone Edges take 1 less gauge, which is obviously very good. It's good for these like rock type characters that are especially not on Apollo setup to have gauge management, because oftentimes a rock type would have gauge issues, but really you don't see that trend too much anymore. He's got Johto Passion as well, which is to use and to gauge, of course. It is a physical, moves next, buffing circle, physical circle, whatever. Johto, you know, we know how the circles work. I mean, it goes up to 40% physical damage and physical sync damage, and 14% damage reduction for moves and sync moves. That's solid, obviously. As for if you can activate most of it, not really. I mean, the funny thing is that we've just got Champion Silver, Arc Suit Silver, and he's completely unable to be run with like Champion Silver. It's like, okay, I'll say unable. Sure, you could maybe make it work. You shouldn't though. Just truthfully, you shouldn't. He's got, I will say though, he does have a partner. Okay, yeah, okay, I did forget. Giovanni. Yeah, Giovanni's really good. Giovanni's a really good support to run with Silver, and one that definitely works extremely well given Silver's like middling special defense. It's just for more, it's kind of a niche reason, but still, Giovanni's gonna be massive help. If you've got Giovanni, then that Arc Suit, my brain is just misfiring everywhere. But that circle's gonna be getting more of its buffs, and it's gonna be more effective for Silver's damage. And again, Giovanni is like a top tier support, right? For like your third option to run in Johto, there aren't really too many. You could run, I wouldn't even run Lyra. No, don't even do that. Don't even take that idea. It would mostly be like a utility character, like a debuffer, flincher, or something like that, like the Holiday Whitney type of character. But obviously, you know, don't run Holiday Whitney, right? Yeah, no. I mean, your third option is gonna just have to be like a Rock Zone setter, whether it be Elio for double support stuff and probably relatively slowish team, or like Diantha, of course. You know, those are your best options. The fact that Silver's best partner is Diantha is fine. Arc Suit, not Arc Suit, Signa Suit. There's too many fucking suits in this game, man. Signa Suit Diantha is definitely not bad. She definitely works. This is a funny passive, especially if you do have her like super awakened enough to where she's got like a lot of her like sync boosts and stuff like that unlocked. Like, I mean, 384 power here, plus the extra sync tiles of being a mega Pokemon, plus sync tiles here, stuff like that. I mean, like, Diantha's definitely going to be very strong for a rock type setup if you've got like appropriate investment, which frankly is honestly at the very minimum, I believe it's like 4 out of 5, or no. Yeah, probably like 5, maybe 3 out of 5 or 5 out of 5, something like that. It really depends if you have EX roll unlocked as well. But anyway, doesn't really matter too much. Yeah, so that's one thing with Silver. He's got his partners. Giovanni's a good partner. His other rock type partners are pretty middling. I mean, or lacking, I guess is a better way to put it. Like, Elio's another support, so you've got double support setup, and that does not help with Silver Sand, and even Diantha doesn't help with Silver Sand. It's like, that's the problem. Again, Silver wanting Sand is pretty problematic for him specifically, just because he wants Rock Zone, he wants Sand, he obviously wants like help with sustaining and staying alive, right? Which is why if the Arc Suit is able to set like, you know, do the rebuff stuff and also set Sand, we're kind of cooking with gas, right? Like we can actually really work with that, and Silver can see a pretty big buff, especially if it's like a character that gives support or like benefits off of his support, you know, stuff like that. It could be really, really good. So it's really a big what if case for Silver for me. Like, if you want to, you know, just kind of skipping to the end of the video, basically, if you want to go for a character, for like rocks, I mean, Diantha's going to be good just because of the rock zone, but also like Champion Selene and Elio are right there. Those are your best rock type options right now. And I mean, Selene especially is really good. I think Elio might, in my opinion, Elio could do a little bit more work as like a support. Like, he could definitely have some other aspects to make him a bit better, but I mean, he still definitely works. He definitely works, especially with Diantha here to help out with like setting rock zone and stuff. So like, you know, those guys work very, very well together. Silver needing Sand, man, it's okay though, whatever. He's got the buddy move Massive Rock Slide, which activates whenever the sync pair your team's sync pair, whatever. Whenever the team uses their sync move once and deactivated when it is used, it's like those typical moves like Ray, Champion Marnie, and the like and stuff that basically just get a sync move or a buddy move every sync cycle. Does a lot of damage, hitting all enemies, 240 power, makes the enemy flinch, ignores damage reduction, passive skills and stuff. Yeah, ignores crits, ignores endurance, and the power of the move's not loaded for multiple targets. So it's got all these fun abilities here. Again, 240 power at max, minimum it's 200 power. And that guaranteed flinch there is very, very nice. Again, it is AoE, so it's against all enemies. Again, similar to like Ray's triple arrows, right? Or his buddy triple arrows. Very, very similar. And then Eyes on Glory raises his attack by 6, crit by 3, and grants effects during the Sandstorm, reducing sync countdown by 1 and raising accuracy by 1. +1 accuracy still does not guarantee Stone Edge is actually able to land. You would need, I think, at least +3 accuracy to guarantee it landing, but I mean, it does help, but I've still had him miss Stone Edge. Stone Edge is one of those moves for me, and I don't know if anyone else has this issue, where it's like, you can raise Stone Edge's accuracy to like 90 or something, but it's still going to feel like it misses more than any other like 90 to 95 accuracy move. That's just, maybe that's just me though. But anyway, yeah, so being able to max stats is nice. This Sandstorm ability is not really any sort of like, I started talking like a pirate. It's not really any sort of actual condition. This is mostly just because of this. He causes sand on entry. Silver sets sand on entry, and then you'll just use the trainer move right after that, or we'll start a battle. And then you'll start like spamming Stone Edges using Circle, the buddy move, you know, when it's unlocked, stuff like that, right? So it's not really a condition for him to have sand up to do most of anything at the beginning of battle. Let's say at the beginning of battle. And he extends the duration of Sandstorm when a sandstorm is caused while the user is on the field. Powers up moves and sync moves during a sandstorm. I believe this is 50%. We can look. We can go back and look. I don't. Okay, oops. Grids, menu, information, help. I'll have to scroll back a little bit. 24. Okay, well, actually, not that far. 25. Let's see. Special costume admin right here. Yeah, silver. Okay. Destructive instinct powers up moves by 50%, and his rebellious spirit all allies stuff by 20%. Okay, we'll keep that in mind. So yeah, he's got himself 50% damage up here on this, which of course with his high offensive stats is going to be helpful, but also consider against Stone Edge a very low powered move. Always keep that in mind with this move. Like 1 out of 5, it is damn close to sub 100 power, but not quite. Obviously really good for the rock slide there, the buddy move. But yeah, he's got this, and it extends duration of sand, and because he's a mega Pokemon, this will actually apply twice. It counts as an on-entry buff, so once he Mega Evolves, it will set Sand again, keeping that extension and keeping that power buff as well, right? He's got Silver's Rebellious Spirit, which powers up moves of all allies during a Sandstorm as a 20% team buff. This does not apply to sync moves, so any allies who are in a Sandstorm, Champion Celine, or I don't know where my brain is, Alt Celine, whatever, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon Celine, whatever it is, Cygnus Diantha, I mean, his best partners, they're going to be getting a 20% power buff from that. And then Team Sandstorm immunity as well. Of course, this is kind of just like a built-in thing. You're not going to want to take chip damage from your own ally's sand, right? And then we went over Fuel Economy 1, right? Also, just something to consider. Despite the fact that I'm not too huge on Silver right now, I do love his ability to do double support. Johto Pride being able to apply a power buff of up to 50% and 31% damage reduction for ally moves. Not sync moves, but moves. Combined with his 20% support here in Sand is a total of 50 or 70% damage support. Oops. Plus the Circle, which, if we just consider himself, is another 20% buff for 90%. Okay, granted, you know, you got to get Johto max, so let's assume you've just got Silver as his own Johto ally. I'm pretty sure it's a 20% buff. Yeah, okay. Well, more allies, higher these percentages are. 50, okay, 15%, 20%. So 20, 20, effectively 20. 60% support, right? I mean, that's a lot of damage support, especially when when 20% of that, well, 60% damage, 20% sync damage, right? You know, some of that is sync damage support as well. So he's actually got quite a few ways of giving allies support, and the more Johto characters you have, the more it's going to increase. You know, if you literally just add Cygnus Alt Giovanni to the team, it's going to be an extra 25% support, I believe. Or yeah, 15% here, an extra 15%, and then an extra 10% here. So that's an extra 25% support, making it 85% support that Silver is able to do if you just add Cygnus Alt Giovanni to the team. Which is why that character is really, really solid for this, for Silver specifically. Though, again, Silver's big thing is needing Sand, and him without Sand, even with Giovanni's help, is really not that impressive. I think that's just something to really consider. And again, Silver Mega Evolves, or, well, Tyranitar Mega Evolves, so he's getting stat buffs, he's getting that second set of Sand here, and he's still keeping all of his other abilities. So the Mega Evolution for Silver is nice, getting that extra set of Sand in, right? Okay. So looking at Silver with dupes, or like, I guess without dupes, 1 out of 5, getting the Mega Tiles is extremely helpful. I mean, he really, really does like the sync power. He's one of the few characters I think that definitely benefits off of it, but at the same time, his grid is very... well, okay, I won't say his grid is iffy, but I think it more so was iffy. I think the fact that now he's got these free tiles might actually do it. We'll look. But anyway, so yeah. Surge of desync power, that's going to be helpful. I mean, but 1 out of 5, the grid's not that crazy. Just headstrong, some extra tiles here. Accuracy on Stone Edge is actually good. I mean, that brings up to 90, and of course, you still got that +1 accuracy here, so you're going to have a lot less issues out of Stone Edge, but at the same time, you're missing a lot of the multipliers for it, so it's still not going to do that much damage. You know, give and take, I guess. But whatever. 2 out of 5, he's got Quick Cure, Trainer Move NPR, Stone Edge Gauge Refresh, Soothing Sand, Sandcastle, Circle Gauge Up, and Circle HP Recovery. Mostly good gauntlet abilities. I like Sandcastle and the healing abilities pretty much everywhere. The thing with Silver, though, is that if you're running him in like a lot of harder content, you're going to at least want him to be 3 out of 5, and 3 out of 5 Silver cannot really afford too much to run any of these abilities, which is a pretty big annoyance. It's just that Silver at 2 out of 5 is very underpowered. He's not really providing much to the team outside of his utility of setting circles, doing support, and setting sand. And flinching. Which, again, are good abilities, but not really good enough to, like, for the help that he really needs. By the way, let's keep in mind, he's a striker, sprint character, hits all enemies on the sync move, and does -3 sync countdown on the sync move. That's going to be very helpful for like maintaining upkeep of sand relative to how many sync moves Silver's able to do. And also pretty good for like, you know, keeping this stuff up for short, like having shorter amounts of time for the battle, so you keep these abilities up for longer as well. Trainer NPR does not really do much for Silver unless you need the extra accuracy and sync countdown. Could be helpful, I guess, but, you know, it's really going to depend on the setup. Quick Cure, Confuse, Flinching, and Trap immunity, or, well, first time they're set, it's immunity, I guess. But can be helpful depending on the content. It's just a general ability. Most characters around this era tended to get these abilities. They're fine enough if you can find stages to use them in. But for the most part, it's going to be pretty niche. And Stone Edge Gauge Refresh, again, more Gauge Refresh stuff. That can be helpful. He's not the most gauge efficient character. He does have fuel economy, and he's got a solid speed stat, but he could still afford to have some better stuff. So the fact he's got abilities like Circle Gauge Up and Stone Edge Gauge Refresh could be helpful for his self-sufficiency and gauge efficiency if that's what you need. But yeah, so again, I like these abilities. Mostly 90% of the time going to be used in a Legendary Arena setting, though. And outside of that, not really. Again, if you're trying to like make use of these abilities outside of that, it's like you're probably going to have a lot of other characters that are really carrying Silver to victory, unless so Silver doing anything super duper crazy himself. And then 3 out of 5, he gets Trainer with Propulsion, Entry +2 physical moves up next, Johto Circle Extension, Johto Circle Sync moves up by 90%, Sandblaster 9, Sandstorm Hit physical moves up next 1, Sandstorm Team Special Damage Reduction 3, and Piercing Gaze. Okay, and 2 sync tiles. Pretty much all of these tiles, well, okay, most of these tiles are really good. The Johto Circle extension is really good. He only sets the Johto Circle twice. He has no like sync burst, nothing like that, at least not at this investment. So he's able to actually extend it a little bit. That's going to be helpful for your team's damage and Silver's damage himself. Not much else needs to be said. This will allow it to last for a longer duration. Johto Circle sync moves up and Sandblaster. These are Silver's big multipliers, and the fact that he gets these 30 sync tiles here and these 90 sync tiles total, and then another +50 here is really, really good to make his power go up to the maximum, and he's got 180% worth of multipliers. And we go here. Oh, right, no, he didn't get it. He got easy crit. Okay, yeah, no, this is useless. Don't select this. Sorry, I'll be honest with you. I thought he was one of those characters that got like Sandblaster 4 or something in the Lucky Cookie. Granted, couldn't get it anyway if you didn't already have it. So, whatever. Okay, sure. No, never mind. Like critical, or not critical strike 2, but you do have here. In here, Weathered Warrior. 30% extra buff here with Weathered Warrior. So you got 90%, 90%. I think this might be, I don't know. Whatever. 90%, 90%. 30% plus the extra percentage on Johto Circle being up itself, you know, that's an extra 20% right there. That's good. I mean, that's giving Silver an extra lot of multipliers. Yeah, he's gonna be doing some pretty good sync damage, and that's the big thing with him, is that he can do a lot of good sync burst damage, and he's got the good damage on Massive Rock Slide in order to make up for his middling Stone Edge damage. So this is very, very, very useful to actually help out with Silver's damage here, which is what you're mostly wanting him to do a lot of. Sandstorm Hit moves up next. This does help also supplement the Stone Edge lack of damage. It's a good tile if you can pick it up. I think that's the biggest caveat with it, is if you can pick it up. Because Silver's grid is so all over the place, it's insane. Piercing Gaze, and you know, Stone Edge missing is always so annoying, but maybe it could work in your favor, frankly. If Stone Edge misses, you know, you don't get the moves up next, or, yeah, this has to hit, but like, you don't use your moves up next, maybe he uses a sync move, and then he's got a +1 physical moves up next enhanced buddy move. Just kind of a thought to throw out there. You know, if you end up missing, maybe it could actually end up helping out your damage a little bit. But it is there if you do know that you need those, like, you don't need those misses or don't want those misses. And it's also good for a lot of the stages that have, like, evasion buffs or accuracy debuffs. So that's actually extremely helpful in a lot of the stages. Like, I believe Dana's does it, and she sets hail in, like, rock zone. So Silver is a good option for that fight. And I believe Morgan does it as well. Silver is less of a good option in there, but he can work as a damage dealer and a character that doesn't miss. Sandstorm team special damage reduction this is a 30% damage reduction when in Sandstorm for special moves. This special attack move damage, yeah, okay, so is it moves or just sync moves? Okay, hold on, I gotta look at a character that I can compare this to so I can see if the wording is about the same. I don't actually know. Is it Cynthia? I don't remember. Damn it, I'm going to find a character that can... Give me a second. God damn. Okay, looking at the character of Ho-Oh, I believe... I want to say this only applies to regular moves and not sync moves. I'm pretty sure that's accurate. If someone wants to correct me, please do. I'm not willing to test it. Yeah, okay, Silver. Yeah, so this only applies to damage moves, but this does help with the special defense issue, obviously. I mean, even if we want to max out the defensive stat again, you know, it's still not that great. It helps out with that. It, of course, helps out with the team's damage reduction as well, but big only caveat really needing Sandstorm up. And again, longer fight goes, less likely you're going to keep Sandstorm up unless you, like, your team setup is really built for it. Again, we're really hoping that Arc Suit helps out Silver, right? So this can be a good tile given the situation. I've seen this be very, very helpful in, like, Legendary Arena stages, so there is use cases there. Outside of that, I could still see use cases, like any ultimate battle. I mean, any damage reduction ability, especially for the team, I mean, that's really good. It's just a matter of if you can also afford it, because, I mean, it's an expensive tile to get to, right? Tournament Propulsion 9, I like running this sometimes. I just like his sync countdown capability, but obviously that's going to depend on you. It's going to depend on your team. It's going to depend on how you want Silver to work. This could be very good for shorter fights. Well, probably less good for longer fights, I would imagine. Entry moves up next, pretty useless. This is only ever going to apply to Stone Edge unless you just don't ever use any move before sinking and then immediately go into a buddy move, but to me that's a little bit restrictive and generally just not really worth it, especially given the energy it costs to get to the tile and everything else, which is why I'm not really a massive fan of where this tile is placed at all, right? So Silver's 3 out of 5 is good overall, but it's like, it's very expensive. I mean, just to get to his sync tiles, it's already costing you an extra 6 energy just to get to them. And then again, you're going to want like the Sync Blaster or Sand Blaster and stuff like that as well. And then from here, it's going to be like, do you want to pick up the Johto Circle extension? You probably do. Do you want to pick up the hit moves up next? You probably do. And now you're only down to you're at the +3 energy, right? So, I mean, if you go to +6, you know, the maximum you can go with this, you can actually max out Silver's Sync Nuke, which is really good. Obviously, I don't really need to say much about that there. But you're also missing out on abilities like that Sandstorm damage reduction, Piercing Gaze, the healing abilities if that's important to you, and like the propulsion as well, you know. So there's a few things you are missing out on with trying to go for the max stuff for Silver here. And it could bite you, but at the same time, you know, max nuke's really good. At 4 to 5, Silver gets Enfeeble. I want to say this is pretty solid. I mean, this is solid for some gimmick check stages. Again, Morgan likes having her defenses debuffed, I believe. I think I forget exactly the debuffs that stage requires. I'm pretty sure the sides need defense. I could be wrong, though. But anyway, debuffing defense is good for that, but also, of course, mainly damage enhancement. Obviously, you're going to want to have it for the extra stat up, or like stat debuffs. Well, damage up from stat debuffs. So if you're running him with Diantha, she already is able to debuff defenses very effectively, so it's not necessarily an amazing ability. Also do note that this should also proc on his sync as well, because he goes into Mega Tyranitar, so that'll basically activate twice. So he'll get -2 defense on entry, and then -2 defense whenever he syncs and Mega Evolves first time into Mega Tyranitar. So that's -4 defense at its peak. So if you don't have any good like character or like a character that can debuff defense, or at least not do it like super consistently, or you're having issues maintaining the defensive debuffs, this can be helpful for that. Mostly though, in my opinion, the biggest value you get out of this is the fact that it allows you to get to your next sync tile without costing any energy. And that is honestly the biggest buff a lot of these tiles give. I think in Silver's case, it could be really good simply because Silver's grid is so damned expensive. But honestly, in this case, honestly, I don't even think it really helps that much. I mean, you still need to do this in order to actually get to it. It's like, yeah, this doesn't actually help that much. I mean, it's like +3 energy difference. Yeah, well, 14 here, and then if we go to 3 out of 5, I mean, Yeah, it's a 2 energy difference. Oh well, though. That's fair enough, I guess. Sure, whatever. 5 out of 5, he gets entry, Johto Circle, Johto Physical Circle, and Team Physical Boost. This sets him on entry, and again, because he's a Mega character, on Mega Evolution. This is a very solid tile. It's able to give him that extra sets of Johto Circle I was telling you that he couldn't do before. And it also, of course, works with the extension, so whenever he Mega Evolves, he's getting a lot of extra Circle up. It's going to be very, very helpful for maintaining uses of Circle so that you don't actually have to worry much about keeping it up for, you know, shorter amounts of time or longer amounts of time or whatever. You've effectively got 4 sets of the Circle now, and that's very, very helpful. Though I think my big issue with Silver is, I guess if you support sync, it's not that big of a deal, but like earlier on in the fight, you're going to set it on entry, and I don't think if Silver syncs first, he can keep that Circle up, so you would have to set it again, and then when he syncs, it's going to overlap, or it's going to overwrite the Circle, so it's like you're actually not getting as long as it should be. But also, with Silver being a sync countdown related character, if you can run him with other sync countdown characters, like Diantha does -1 in her trainer move, and Apollo can do just a fuckload, right? Just as a few examples, he's not really going to have to worry too much about that. Also, I believe, I know Steven, Arcsuit Steven can do it. He can do, like, he has like Head Start 1. You can run that as like a Lucky Seal or a Grid Seal or both, really. I do not remember if Giovanni has any sync countdown stuff, though. I don't quite remember. Sorry, guys, I can't remember every single character's kit in the game. It's my bad. Yeah, just like crit right here, the NPR stuff, the Giovanni's Greed stuff. Yeah, it doesn't look like he's got any sort of sync countdown related abilities. Oh well, it's no big deal, so that's fine. That's fine. Whatever. But yeah, so I mean, I like that. I like the tile a lot, though. I mean, Silver having some sync countdown related stuff is going to be helpful with this and make sure this stays up. And also him having the Sprinty X roll is going to be very good for making sure his set of it on Mega Evolution will be good for his next sync move. So that's very helpful. Sadly, he did not get any help with the sand. I think one of the best things they could have done for him is if they gave him, like, instead of Enfeeble 2, if you make him set sand... No, if you make him set sand... I mean... Either give him another set of extension, like Extension 5 for Sandstorm or something, or make him set sand every time the Johto Circle's applied to the team. The physical Johto Circle. I think that would have been very helpful for Silver and actually like maintaining his like consistency in sand and having the Johto Circle be set. This tile's good. I wish this is a little bit different. But again, this tile's also really good for making sure you can get to the extra sync tile without any extra energy. Maybe it could like save you here. I mean, yeah, it could, really. If you want to be able to like afford his full sync damage and you can skip out on the Sandstorm hit, physical moves boost, like physical boost here or whatever it's called, fucking all those words, you know. You can actually afford the Sandstorm team special damage reduction for maximum energy and still maintain all of that sync damage here and the like Johto Circle extension and stuff. And if you don't want the Johto Circle extension for whatever reason, you could get the physical moves up next here, or you could get like Piercing Gaze. You know, you can mess with a lot of that stuff, really. But anyway, yeah, so I do like Silver's 5 out of 5, almost pretty much solely for the fact that it helps out his grid a good bit and making stuff a lot more affordable, or at least capable of actually being gotten, especially these mega tiles over here, like these sync tiles. So him actually having a very good sync buff here is very nice. This is a very solid tile as well, being able to set that circle and also apply physical moves up next for the team. You know, it's still good. I mean, that'll give you some more moves up next on that next Massive Rock Slide if you use it after the sync move and stuff. And again, those defensive debuffs can be helpful there as well. So Silver, I think, is still a solid character. He's got a lot of good gimmick checking. Again, circle setting, sand setting, good supportive abilities, flinching, decent damage, weather setting. I mean, like sync countdown. These are solid abilities to have. My main issue is that once sand goes down, Silver's damage suffers a lot. He loses this damage reduction ability. He loses his team support, other than, of course, Johto Circle and, you know, the Master Passive, right? But he loses that 20% support, which could be annoying. And again, his power goes down drastically without any sand up, right? So we really need a character that can be super good for rock, but also set sand, so that Silver is just like, you know, a god, obviously. I think that would be really what Silver wants to have. I said I wanted to make this video shorter, and it's almost a half hour. I'm going to end it there. Do I recommend you go for Silver? No. Go for Celine. She's easier to get because she's a Pokefair character. You can invest in her Super Awakening if you really want to go super high with it, and she gets really good stuff on her Super Awakening, even if it's just the stats. I mean, they're really, really good, but man, that is one of the best Super Awakenings for a character ever. She's really fucking strong, and Silver can't even really compete with her. I wouldn't even say so. But anyway, whatever. That's just my opinion. I'll see you later. I hope you all enjoyed. Peace.